to the 40 in Tennessee podcast. I'm Josh here with Houston and Randy, and we want to talk about Appalachian folklore today. But we'll get into that. How you guys been doing? How's your week been?
It's been.
It's been.
Been playing Ark actually, and I logged into a server that I've never logged into before,
Yeah.
and there was the very first thing I encountered was Mothman.
Really?
So I'm like, this is the server, yeah.
I didn't know Mothman was in there.
Yeah, it was like a custom thing somebody had done.
Okay, but what is your character?
No, I'm still like a dude.
Yeah, but
no, what was it? What was the
what
name
do you look like?
Yeah.
What do I look like?
Yeah, you probably.
Oh yeah, I'm all bulky and huge and stuff.
You had a Sasquatch character for the longest.
Oh, Bobo, the half squatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a whole lore with him.
He was on my PvP server. So I was killing people with him.
Were you just like stalking the woods? Were you doing Sasquatch tactics?
Yes, actually, I'm not even kidding. It's going to sound stupid,
Throwing
but
rocks?
I used Ark to like try to understand like how they hide, how they get around without being seen. But like what I did was I actually developed Ascendant, which is like the best quality.
Yeah.
Ascendant ghillie suit. So I was running around in a ghillie suit, like on the server the entire time. So I could be like within 3 feet of somebody, but if I was like sitting in some bushes, you wouldn't see me.
I mean, essentially, they have a ghillie suit on, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's the way I looked at it, yeah.
That's funny.
Randy, just like I've heard the arguments over the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, where it's just the typical gamer of like, I lost everything, man. I hate this. I'm never playing again. And then a couple of months, it'll be like, so yeah, I've been playing Ark for the past week.
It's one of those games, like I play like Project Zomboid and stuff, and I do like stints, and I'll play that game for like 3 weeks straight and be into it, and then I'm like, I gotta take a break. I'm just I can't build a whole
usually I play until the server, like whatever server I'm playing on, has like a reset or something like that, and then crashes everything.
Yeah.
And then I'll be pissed off and won't play for a while.
I enjoy that. That's funny though. It's almost like when remember the time it was a Catman? Wasn't he developing he was trying to come up with like how do they move, and he was getting up in the morning and doing like the spider crawl to try to really be like understand Squatch Jitsu we were calling.
I got an argument this week with a guy with multiple guys over the spider crawling.
Really?
On Facebook. Oh yeah.
Oh, did they? Okay, yeah. So last week we had Gato on, we had Catman, and we talked about the tree peeker experience we had during one of my first trips down with you guys. And Catman had described, if you haven't listened to the last episode of, go back and listen to it. Good listen. That when he came up on whatever was peeking at us, he saw what he said was a female Sasquatch that was spider crawling on the ground backwards, very creepily. I always imagine like what's her name, Samara from
The Ring.
Yeah.
Like
either that or the Exorcist going up the stairs backwards.
Yeah. Like, now the thing is, we've also gotten reports of that through the years from other people. Of seeing them low crawling, basically, in a sense, on their fingers and their toes to stay very close to the ground and go over. So what was the argument? So
that it was impossible, that it's impossibility to crawl that way.
Really?
And when I literally like brought up, I'm like, I was right next to somebody, like within 60 feet of somebody while they watched one of these things do this. And I've talked to other people that have seen these things do this, low crawl. And I literally got the response of, well, you mean 3 people convinced you of their lie. That was what they said.
Okay. I mean, like at that point, it's like, oh sure, man. And that's goes back to what we talk about. It's so hard to just talk about this subject because you always get that doesn't work. That's not possible. That's not possible. It's not like he said the female Sasquatch got up, whoop, 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 opened a portal and jumped in. You know, it was just like I saw this thing crawling backwards away from me, and it's, you know, he didn't. It also, we were there and we saw how it affected him.
Yeah.
It messed.
When we first saw it, it was very obviously on the ground.
Yeah.
Because it was between those two logs, you know,
Yeah,
up and down like this.
Super low.
Which I think that might be why a lot of people don't see these things as much as they do, is because I think these things actually maybe crawl around a lot more than we think they do.
Get down low. Get down low. Army crawling around. That's interesting. That's interesting. But like we said, we've gotten reports from other people, from other researchers who have gotten reports saying like, yeah, I got this creepy one. They said it was crawling on the ground and stuff. And it's like,
yeah. I talked to a guy. Him and another guy was camping back in a gulf here in Middle Tennessee, and they said that there was a hill back behind them, and they heard a snap crack back on that hill, and they had a campfire going. And he says he gets up, goes around that side of that hill just to see what the snap crack was, and he says, here's one of these things on the ground, prone, crawling like this, and like he's like, this is not what I was expecting. It freaked him out. He's like, they're just camping, having a good old time. Goes around the corner of this hill, and here's a Sasquatch, you know, that was basically trying to crawl up on him.
That's so wild. That's now I gotta ask the question because we've always, would you jump on it? It's on the ground. It's already in the prone position. It's like, just get it. Like, you fucked up at that point. Get him in there. Get a chokehold on him. He just stands up. He just stands up on you. Oh, yeah. That was a wild night when we were out there, and that was I had trouble. I mean, during that, you can hear it in our recordings from that time. It was just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm like, you and I were arguing. You're like, it's right fucking there, and I'm like, I can't tell. I'm trying to get it through through the lens, and I mean, we did get just the eye kind coming up, and you could see it like winking and shit.
I think Catman would have jumped on it if it wasn't a female.
It being a female is what really freaked him.
Really freaked him out.
You would get massive bragging rights though if you just like, got this thing in a chokehold and put it to sleep. Like, what would you do after that?
Can you imagine if he was like, guys, I'm on it, and then we just see Catman like riding something through the woods. Like,
it was barely across the trail.
Bye, Catman.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I've asked Catman several times like what he would do if, like, not trekking in the woods and gets goes black, and he wakes up and he's in a cave.
You've asked me this too.
Sasquatch at the end of the cave just staring at him, and he's like, I guess I've got to go off that now.
You asked me that same question the night we stayed at the quarry, and we were just sitting. Yeah, and I was already freaked out, and you're like, Manning, let me ask you something. If you just woke up in a cave and there was a female that are you gonna stay as a husband? Like, what are you doing? I was like, I probably
whatever you're allowed to do. I don't think you have a choice at that.
It just freaks me out. The stories of the people that the accounts of those guys that have been taken, and got away. But like, imagine you're just out in the middle of the effing woods, man, and you're just like with these massive Sasquatch, and they're trying to make you be like, you're part of the family now. Yeah.
Like up to the rib cage.
Yeah.
High.
I'm like, I'm not. Do they think I'm a child? It's interesting. Those stories freak me out.
I do hope that it happens to Catman instead of us three. It's just so much more funny just knowing it. That's what I'm saying. Like, last week was just fun. Like, we just kind of all let him go on.
You just let him go. Yeah, he
Yeah.
he can talk, and he's had a lot of Catman's out at night walking around a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, he's experienced some stuff, and also people now, especially like people go up and talk to him a lot, tell him stuff.
I just couldn't look at Randy when he was like retelling some of his stories because Randy was just there
The meat
smirking.
story that was
Yeah.
The meat story got me.
yeah. I saw you break it.
I've talked to him about the meat story before. I'm like, I don't know what to tell him about the meat story, but like, just I don't know.
I don't. I
A
didn't.
story about a random piece of meat being slung at you in the dark.
That was the first time I've ever heard that one from him. So that's why I was like, what? That was a new one for me. This is so today I wanted to get into Appalachian myths. And not just myths, but like I want to call them rules. And to preface this, just seeing stuff on like Instagram Reels and stuff being made on TikTok, was that it was I would see Instagram as like people from the Appalachians know when the sun starts going down, you close all your blinds, and like you always close your blinds at night. And I kept seeing that. I'm like, what the fuck are they like? Okay, but I'd see some other stuff that was kind of along this line, like don't acknowledge your name in the woods.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you guys because you grew up
Like
down
a
there.
general rule.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like, did you guys grow up with this? These?
I've heard some of them, yeah.
Yeah, some of them I have heard.
Okay.
I guess my first question is: at night, you don't close your blinds?
I mean, I do. I mean, I always have. Yeah. That's why I was kind of confused about it, and it was just like when you're in the Appalachians, you close your blinds at night, and I'm like, oh, I was like, but I mean, I close my blinds at night too.
Yeah.
But
Mine is for the people not to look in.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of these like videos were people who had like a house, not it was like at the edge of the woods, and there was a lot of space, so it wasn't like they're just next to somebody else. Where I close my blinds at night, so my neighbors don't see me fucking dancing around the kitchen while I cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you're out there, is there? I mean, I have an idea why.
Yeah. You get things like Atticus staring at you.
Yeah, there's a lot of reports of Sasquatch looking through windows at night, being curious. We talked about the face imprint, which is one of the incidents that brought Houston kind of all into this. And so okay, so I mean that's just a normal thing then. But was it ever when you guys were growing up like we do this because we don't want the spirits looking in, and we don't want
When I was growing up, like
Yeah, I want to hear Randy.
Yeah, come on.
there was a lot of the booger men will get you. The booger man will get you. The boogers will come out of the hollows and get you.
The haints in the holla.
I heard that from the old people a lot, and I don't think they even realized what they were talking about, to be honest. But like, with
I
hindsight,
probably grew up with it too,
stuff
though.
now I know exactly what they were talking about.
And that's what kind of was freaking me out about this, because it was just like, this wasn't even, in reference to like Bigfoot. It was just like, the Appalachians is a mysterious place.
I know one of the old things is don't whistle after dark.
Don't whistle after dark. And I've heard that one too. Because if you whistle back at something that whistles,
Stuff will whistle back if you do in the dark. Yeah.
yeah.
Which, again, what do you think's probably whistling back at you?
And it's so freaky. And I've had that happen up here, though. I will say, so this was some years and years ago. I think it was back in like 2013, 2014 or something like that. I was up late. I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and I heard whistling. And so and you've been to my place, Randy, up here, so like I'm in the middle of a town. Like I can see right next to my neighbors. I'm surrounded. So I just kind of whistled back, and then it kept whistling back to me, and I like for the length of the cigarette, I was whistling back and forth with something, and I was like, "What bird is up right now?" And then like some years later, it was like, if you do that, you invite like evil shit into your life, and I was like, "Oh, well, maybe that's why a lot of bad stuff has happened since then." Like, but like growing up here in New England, I didn't really have that type of stuff. I didn't grow up with like, don't be going out. It was like, don't go out into the fucking, don't play on the fucking train tracks. That was what I got. It was like, it was like, just be careful. There's a guy in a white van grabbing kids. That's what.
Yeah,
that was the boogeyman for me. It was like getting fucking kidnapped.
Yeah, so like back, I guess my parents' day, they had the goodie wagon. You'd hear the ice cream truck coming around, and now they're like, yeah, just don't go do that because one guy ruined that for all of us.
Oh, did you guys have something happen down there?
I don't know if it was here, but I mean, maybe that was before.
No, we did. We had a ice cream guy that got charged with like lots of kitty touching.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Damn. One guy's got to just fuck it up for all of us. I still get excited when I hear the ice cream truck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like to flag it down. The guy seems surprised now. Like I grew up like always playing outside and stuff. So when the ice cream truck came around, we'd chase it. We'd be ready, and then chase it down. It's like during this summer, I heard it coming down the street, so I had the kids here, and I was like, "Oh, let's go get the ice cream truck." And we like ran outside, and the guy was like surprised. He was like, "Oh," like flagging him down. I'm like, "Hold on, I want a SpongeBob pop." SpongeBob. Okay. Now, did you guys ever experience any of this stuff when you were younger? Like the whistling?
I'll say because Randy went earlier, like just me having more of like a conservative Christian background, I didn't hear all of these like spirit stories or stuff like that. It was more like, yeah, be careful of the ice cream man or, all of that type of things. Like, so there's some of this that we're going to talk about that, yeah, I've heard of. And one specifically, it's like, man, I almost 100% believe that that's true. But some of the spirit ones I never did hear growing up. Like that wasn't something, my mom or anything was going to teach me about.
Well, which one did you hear that you think's real?
Yeah.
The rule comes in 3, like deaths and stuff comes in 3.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
Is that not a thing up there in New England?
I was going to ask that actually.
I think I've heard of it like just through reading stuff, but it's not something I grew up with. Like human, we have I grew up right next to Salem, so there's a lot more stuff that surrounds that. But I've heard of the rule of threes. Everything comes in threes, but like also like rule of 3 is something from film. Yeah. So like sometimes I'm not even curious. I'm curious if I'm like, have I actually heard of this?
So if you don't know, it's like when one person would pass away, more than likely you're going to hear about another 2, or somebody similar in the family, friend of a family, whatever. It's never just one person. And yeah, that seems to happen commonly.
Now, have you?
Yeah, that's just expected down here, man.
Yeah.
Like when death happens, and you're like, uh-oh, 2 more people are gonna fucking go down.
Oh yeah.
Oof.
Like I've seen celebrities where a celebrity died, and like online, someone down here in the South will be like, "Well, wait for the next 2."
You know what celebrity death freaks me out? When Carrie Fisher died, and then her mom died. Like, have you heard that story about that? Where she was just like, "I'm gonna go be with Carrie now," and went to sleep and died.
Yeah.
That creeps me out.
Some weird. That's weird. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I didn't know that what was her name? Was it Agatha on Halloween Town? Oh, I never knew that was her mom.
Yeah.
I've got a cool Carrie Fisher story.
Okay. What is it?
We were at Dragon Con working security. Me, Cozy,
Oh,
and Gage. And we got a thing where basically a summons to this one area because of Carrie Fisher. They were like, we need assistance with Carrie Fisher. And we went out there like right outside of the artist room was where it was.
Yeah.
And we got out there and they were basically trying to keep Carrie Fisher from beating the out of a big.
Really?
Like it wasn't somebody like trying. It wasn't people like needing to get away from Carrie Fisher. It was they were needing us to get Carrie Fisher away from this one guy. It was great.
Oh my god. Princess Leia's about to fuck you up, dude.
To fuck somebody up.
Oh man. That's badass. So you get to see her just just in her just natural state. Like not what you're expecting. Like it's just like, oh hey, like you.
Yeah. So now, anytime I've seen anything with like General Organa or whatever, it's been like, okay, yeah, I could believe that.
Yeah. Okay. That's big down there. I want to ask about lost Confederate gold.
Oh.
So, the legend that I've gotten is during the final days of the Civil War, as Confederate forces faced imminent defeat, rumors began circulating about large amounts of Confederate gold being hidden or buried to prevent it from falling into Union hands. These caches were said to be scattered across the Appalachian region, including Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia. Some stories suggest the gold was carried by retreating soldiers, while others mention secret Confederate sympathizers hiding it in caves or hollers. Have you guys ever heard any of these legends?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yep. I've heard of one up in White County.
And what's the like?
And it's said the same stuff that supposedly they put a bunch of gold in a cave up there and it's been lost ever since then. And that's the reason I don't believe it.
So has anyone ever claimed to have found any of this?
There's been some gold and stuff that's been found here and there over the years. Not here, not anywhere local to us that I know of, though.
But there's been no like, no one's actually claimed to be like, I found a cache.
But then again, if you actually did put some of this stuff in a cave, and it was a somewhat livable cave, where there was like breakdown.
Yeah.
There might be sediment on top of it within just a few months of it. You never know it was there to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it was so long ago, too. I mean, look at the amount of caves we find just in the wild when we go out. Like, so, I mean, and how many caves that it could have been hidden in and they collapse or they get flooded. It's like,
yeah.
I always think about that as like the amount of shipwrecks that have happened carrying gold and like gems and stuff that are just at the bottom of the ocean. And that's where they're going to stay.
Yeah.
That would be an amazing job to have.
Treasure hunting?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be wild. Finding some like just to find a treasure chest full of gold doubloons.
I don't think I would turn it in. I think I would want to keep that.
What are you going to do with it?
Put it on probably somewhere over here. Get the rest
just a big gold bar.
You could be independently wealthy, but you're just going to hoard it to.
I would have to keep some.
You'd have to.
It depends on what I found. Like, yeah, if I found something that would like, be life-changing wealth, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but if I saw something that's like, let's say worth $40,000 or something, just something that's like, whatever, it'd pay off a vehicle. But like, I don't know that I would turn that in. It'd be like, my own little personal museum.
Turn it in, yeah. I'd be like, I'd turn it in, but I'd be like, you want this in a museum? Your museum's gonna pay me.
Yeah.
The finder's fee, man. That'd be interesting. I did when I saw that one, I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that was a thing up there, but it's like, I've never heard anyone. There's never been a show about it. I've never seen. I figured that someone would do a show about that.
So there we go.
There's no show.
Caves around here. We should just do that. Everyone checking caves for
yeah.
Confederate gold.
We're all looking. Everyone get in on it. We're all.
This cave looks promising.
What if Sasquatch is in the cave, just like hoarding it all? They just they don't know what it is. They just have it. That's what they're using. They're banging against the trees. The gold bars. I saw a Squatch.
I would think too, though, like who's gonna go back? Like, if I buried that, I don't care if I'm just a normal low-ranking soldier, I would be trying to get back to that too. So,
Yeah.
like, I would go cover my tracks or backtrack and get whatever I could.
Realistically, if you were to, you really did have like a lot of gold that you tried to get rid of like that. You sunk it in the cave. How are you going to find that cave again if you're in like an area of that you're not?
Oh yeah, that's not. You're just stationed there and you put it
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
you'd like no wonder it'd get lost.
I mean, I would be marking trees or something. I'd be, like, leaving some national treasure clues somewhere, hiding messages in behind bricks and stuff.
Well, part of me is like, oh, no one's found it. It's like, well, I mean, a lot of the Confederate soldiers were just like, good old boys out in the woods, man. So it's like, oh, I can see them going back and getting it and getting it back out. But I mean, that's a good point. They'd actually probably be someplace else and then
Yeah.
hiding it.
Did you guys see it was this past fall, I remember seeing a book came out that said that this guy, he was a wealthy man, wrote this book, and it was kind of like, how do I explain it? Like, he would have pictures and stuff of, like, almost his personal museum,
Mhm.
but he left clues in there. He said, "I did hide a treasure, and it's up to you guys. I've left all the clues in my books. Go figure it out."
Really?
I've heard of the guy. I don't know who he is though.
Yeah.
Anyone find it?
Not that I know of.
Anyone find it? We should get him at the convention. Talk about it. We'll
You probably don't believe in cryptids either.
It's like, come on.
I can't believe that was what we got back from those guys. we don't believe in cryptids.
Yeah.
It's just like we don't really care. We just want you guys there.
Kind of related, but do you remember the story about the Black House and the guy that had all that? What happened to all of his Indian artifacts, Randy?
The Black House
Yeah,
uptown.
yeah.
I didn't know that he had a bunch of Indian artifacts.
I believe it was him, right? That who was telling me about that? It may have been Jimmy Haley or Bruce. I don't. It was probably Bruce. But saying that, yeah, this guy had all kinds of, like, he had a personal museum at his house, and his wife hated it and said that, hey, when he's gone, all this is going in the trash. And sure enough, like, when he died, they just took it to the town dump. And so, like, there's all kinds of artifacts over there where the dam is, where the old trash, dump over there is.
Damn.
Huh.
So, yeah, all kinds of artifacts. So another place to dig.
Yeah.
God, that'd be mentally scarring to just
An old landfill.
toss your entire collection like that.
Oh. So like I did this was some years ago, but I was my first and only wedding I was a videographer for. At the rehearsal, the grandfather was there, and he, just older guys put together, but he had on his lapel he had a unit like emblem from like when he served. And it was the same unit I served in. So kicked off, I was like, hey, I was in that unit. And we started shooting shit and stuff. So the next day at the beginning of the wedding, he comes in and he's got this album. And he goes, hey, Josh. He's like, I don't show this to too many people, but I want to show you my collection. And I was like, oh, okay. So he go off to the side at the bar, and he opens it up, and it's his secret room in his house, but it is, he's got a lot of like stuff he got from like the Third Reich, like,
Oh shit.
like in like Vietnam, and like he has just like he's like, this is my personal museum from like my time overseas and shit. I was like, oh.
I think that stuff's awesome.
I mean, it was really cool, like the stuff he had. He had all these photos of it, and I was like, God dang, man. He's like explaining all this, where it came from, and like the history behind it and stuff. And he was like, yeah, I got this from this guy, and like, I was just like, I was like, you don't show this to many people. He's like, oh no, I'm not supposed to have this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, I can't. It's kind of illegal to have this. And I was like,
Like
oh
me, I think it's interesting because it's so different than the stuff we have. Like it's different technology that they use. Like
yeah,
I don't know if it was on here or you guys that I talked to about it or not, but like, have you ever heard of the old Craig's Marine map? That was like Craig's Marine was their submarine force, and they literally mapped the world different than what we did. And it's like broke up in quadrants. And it's like that's just a map that, it's like
yeah,
that government at the time made, and like they have their own technology with their grenades. It looks so different. Like, I think that's awesome to keep some of that stuff.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, I agree. I think it's part of the history and stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
he's an army guy. Like I
Oh, yeah.
get it. But I was not expecting that when he opened it up. I was like, he's like, don't talk about this, and I was like, oh, absolutely not.
He owned it the right way, though. Like,
Yeah,
he called dibs.
yeah, yeah. He definitely did. Yeah, it's kind of funny some of the collections people have. I mean, Randy, you know somebody that has a nice collection of stuff, right?
Oh yeah, very very much so.
um,
They have the state literally like salivating at getting hold of it
how does the state know about it?
because he works with the state.
Oh, he does.
Stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he like nah 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 nah? Like
Yeah, pretty much, it's like I'm alive. Sorry.
that's funny. The eternal fires of the mountains. That's one of the legends. Appalachian folk tell of mysterious, ever-burning flames that can be found in the caves or on hillsides. These fires are said to have no visible fuel source, leading locals to believe that they are supernatural in origin. In some tales, the flames are seen as omens or portals to the spirit world. In others, they are the result of ancient curses or the remnants of divine punishment. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, bootleggers? Like the
Absolutely.
like
That's what I was thinking.
moonshiners out there, like on the mountainside. That's what I was thinking. But I didn't know if what you guys know about this.
Usually, I know that they can naturally occur as methane deposits. It's where methane will be leaking out of the ground from rotting. There could be like rotting stuff underground.
Okay.
But it'll be like coming up between stones. And if you catch that on fire, it will burn for years.
Really?
There'll be a little tiny
Just a
fish coming out of it.
huh.
But apparently there was several times in the old days that Native Americans would use natural places like that to, as to start camps and stuff.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That must take a lot of time to build up, though, right? To get to that point.
Yeah. And you got to find one of those. Like I said, if it's a natural reoccur or a natural occurring one, you've got to find where it is to begin with, before you can even tap it.
Have you ever come across one of these?
No. I've heard about them being in caves before, but I've never seen one.
That'd be cool.
I think Darby said he had something like that, like out west.
Yeah.
But I think his was more up in the sky, like almost flashes and stuff. Because he said people were mistaking it for UFOs, and he's like, no, it was like some of the stuff that he had. I think you would know too. Is it Utah that he?
Utah's where he had his crazy stuff happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy stuff. Do you see something?
No, he didn't see something. That was what was crazy about it.
Oh, okay.
He basically, the way he described it, he basically had an encounter with something, but he never saw what was making the sound. It just sounded like something huge.
Just out in the wilds?
Out in the wilds in Utah, yeah.
I can't. Was it knocking trees over, and they just started like unloading into this thing? Like
Yep.
when he told the story, it reminded me of the smoke monster off of Lost.
Oh.
It's like what it sounded like to me, though. He didn't visually see this thing. It was just like that's what was going on around him. It pushed him down the mountain like he was. Him and his
Just aggressively.
buddy, yeah, we're all trying to get away from whatever this was.
Huh. I have to talk to him.
Working on it.
I know he probably won't come on here, but
he just like I ask him and he just rolls his eyes and he's like, well, maybe.
I
Tell them we'll let them do an advertisement for Waffle House for a few minutes. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I love Waffle House. I love Waffle House.
I don't think me and Randy would be friends if it wasn't for Waffle House.
This is true.
That Waffle House has probably seen some shit. That Waffle House has seen some shit.
Very much so.
Never closes. Never closes.
Now, Waffle House is on top of what used to be Roma Pizza, which is Gar's family's pizza
Oh,
place.
really?
I literally have ties back to that place going back to me being 14.
Yeah, you worked there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, that whole little Waffle House has seen everything. That little area over there.
It's where I met Catman.
That's where I met Catman, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he working there at the time?
He was.
I think Catman's worked every job in that town.
I went in there to eat one day, and somebody was like, "That's that superhero guy," and I'm like, "What superhero guy?" And they're like, "His name's Catman," and I'm like, so I started asking questions about the guy, and finally it was like, "I've got to talk to this dude." So,
And then
Isn't Trevor married there?
what's that? Trevor got married. I
What?
married Trevor and his first wife there. Yeah,
at Waffle House?
at Waffle House.
That's gangster.
Waffle House. Yep. They were both working at Waffle House when it happened.
That's so
Like,
that
I'm in
town.
Holy Waffle House.
That's
marriage.
so that town.
We're talking about Appalachian legends. This
Yeah.
Waffle House is on the top
Yeah,
of the list.
yeah, Waffle House. I mean, I think Sasquatch would go there. The Wild Man would go to.
Are you going to Waffle House on like a Saturday night, like between 11 o'clock and what would you say?
3
like
in the morning.
4 o'clock in the morning?
So it would always depend. Our bars would get out around 3, and it would get crazy after that. That's on weekends. The bars close. Everybody's going to Waffle House.
Drunk food.
But yeah, but you'll see cryptids galore.
For sure.
The local cryptids, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I met you there because that's when you guys were coming in with all the blood on you where you were filming. What was that movie y'all guys did? Because I remember Dan had blood all over him.
Oh, we were doing Cave of the Dead.
Cave of the Dead,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget you and like you guys were filming a zombie movie down there for some time too.
Yep.
Is that Cave of the Dead?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know if you were talking about that because you had a haunt in Cumberland Caverns. Wasn't that Cave of the Dead as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Randy made a few people pee themselves. From what I
So
remember.
talking about cryptids coming in Waffle House, here's Randy's crew just coming in with blood all over them at different times of the year, shooting movies and running haunted houses.
Hey guys.
Yeah, we used to after the haunt, we would actually go all as a group to Waffle House and like slam on the doors and be like, "Ugh."
Scare the drunks.
And it was the one place in McMinnville that like they were cool with it. Like we were covered in blood. I mean, covered in it. And they were just like, "Yeah, get in here and eat."
Yeah.
Southern hospitality, man.
Yeah.
Just get in here and eat.
They don't close for hurricanes. They don't close for zombies. They don't close for nothing.
No. Waffle House will survive. Will survive. Doesn't FEMA use them as like a disaster chart? As long as it's open, it's fine. Speaking of cryptids, the white things.
Oh, there's white things all over. Supposed white thing. White, and I say that white thing, like THANGS, things.
Things.
But there's a lot of those across Tennessee, different areas. Where we did the con the first year, just down the road from there, White Hall, or what is it called? White Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
The White Bluff Screamer, the white thing of White Bluff.
Huh.
So yeah, there's lots of white things across the state.
Yeah, known as the White Things, these spectral creatures are said to haunt the forests and hills of the southern Appalachians. They are typically described as albino animals, ghostly wolves, bears, deers, or large cat-like beasts. Some stories depict them as being as benign or shy, while others describe them as harbingers of death or disaster, often appearing before significant tragedies. Um,
That goes into albino animals in the Cherokee in this area.
mm,
The Cherokee saw albino animals as being like basically like tied to the Great Spirit. They were
sacred.
sacred, holy. Um, I think that's a lot of that ties in with that stuff. Is that as the European culture was pushing through here and adopting a lot of those old traditions, it kind of stuck, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Reports vary, but common features include glowing red or yellow eyes, a natural speed or agility, and an eerie silence as they move. Some versions they are thought to be spirits of animals wronged by humans, while in others they are supernatural guardians of sacred places. Um, just an old squatch. That's what I think. Like an old graybeard squatch running around. Um, that's. Have we ever gotten we haven't gotten a report of those. I mean,
Of white animals.
yeah,
I got a couple of reports way back in the day of white turtles, like big white turtles, big white like snapping turtles, but like that's just an albino snapping turtle.
yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen that. That would freak me out.
Big giant white turtle.
When I was doing my research, I did not find anything on a raven mocker.
Raven mocker. Raven mocker is basically the southern Cherokee term for Wendigo,
Yeah,
basically, or skinwalker.
that was
But
that
you
was.
have got a report on, right?
Yep.
What's that?
You have got a report on one of those from
Yes.
Christian.
Well,
Yeah.
he didn't call it a raven mocker. He called it a Wendigo. I told him that that was what they called in this area a raven mocker.
Yeah, and then I think his father or his grandfather was like, no, that's a raven. Like confirmed the same thing. Was like, oh, what you're describing is a raven mocker.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I heard it. It was him and his girlfriend that saw it.
Yep.
Yeah, because when I was down for the convention, I remember you brought me over to him. You're like, tell him what you saw, and I was like, whoa. And I remember him looking at me like, so what is it? I'm like, like,
Yeah.
just
And this was Christian you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool dude. Like I've been doing jujitsu with him. Like I like him.
yeah.
He's another one. I've tried to talk to him about getting on here sometime.
He's
But
like,
yeah, he had a Bigfoot story that he saw with his preacher, and so he's like, yeah, dude, like kind of gives a little bit more credence when your preacher sees it with you.
yeah, exactly. When they're with you, and yeah, it's very nice to have someone that usually people will take,
Yeah.
a little bit more credence from.
Which is having a witness with you to begin with is a huge deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely if you preacher down here.
Randy was, like I said, when we did the first time he took me out and we got all that stuff documented and it was legit, like we got it all. I know you were just happy that you were like, I just don't feel crazy anymore. Like you saw it,
Yep.
we got it documented. Now I can fucking show people. Our friends that were just like, Randy's just crazy chasing people in the woods, and you were like, Josh came down with his camera equipment and we got something.
I've offered to let so many people go out with us, and back especially in the early days when stuff
Yeah.
was going hard, and you don't know how many people like gave me the sure, man,
It's like, well,
sure,
just come up.
like
And those that did got freaked out when they came out with us.
the ones that did, yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole subject has got just easier to talk about now with the TV shows and everything else, where people are like, huh? I mean, the government and everything in the last couple of years is like, we don't know what the crap to believe. Like we're being lied to about every and anything. So
I would love for
people-
the government to come out and be like, we actually have them in a preserve right now. Here's we don't know where the fuck they came from. It's like I would love that.
How would that? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How would that affect you two if they came out tomorrow and someone had hit one with a fucking semi. Okay, so there's a dead Sasquatch.
Yeah.
The government under Trump is like, what the hell? Yeah, sure, they're real.
In a tweet.
In a tweet.
Yeah.
God, it's so funny.
Would that systematically change things for you guys? Like, I mean, you guys have told people all your parents know that you're into this stuff.
I think would
that validate it?
Yeah, it would. I think I'd feel a little bit validated, especially if they actually released some stuff that was like, here's the info we have, but they do exist in this manner or something like that. It would feel very fucking validating, like, honestly, because
I think if they ever disclose Bigfoot, it's going to be a lot like the UFO thing has been thus far. And it's going to be like soft disclosure.
Yeah.
Where they're kind of like, yeah, these things exist, but we're not exactly sure about blah.
And the thing is, I'm fine with that answer. That's the other thing. I'm fine with them coming out and being like, we don't know what it is. Like, cool, man. Like,
what'd you say?
Even with aliens and all of this stuff, like when they start talking about all these conspiracies and all that stuff, it's like, man, the government is too incompetent to be able to do all this stuff that you guys are giving them credit for. I don't know that they have all of this just buttoned up perfectly.
Oh, they definitely don't. That's the thing.
Here's the thing, though. No, they don't have it buttoned up. But like over the years, we've heard so many of the same stories leak, like in the Bigfoot world. It's the same way with the UFO world. Like you hear the same stories over and over and over for so long, and now with the UFO stuff, they're like, oh well, yeah, this stuff actually has some credence.
Yeah.
Well, it was like we was talking about with the JFK files the other day. It's like we don't know what's going to be in there, but almost anything that's going to come out, the public probably made that story a little bit more inflated than what it really is. Does that make sense? Like that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Like,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Crazy's added to it.
That's the other thing. It's like, but I mean, it would feel validating. It would feel, like, oh, do you guys remember this? I mean, my mom will do what she did to me with the UFO stuff. I was like, hey, Ma, checking out all this like weird UFO stuff they're disclosing. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, they just did a congressional hearing on like this subject matter. They're trying to figure it out and they're having a discussion and they're trying to figure out how they can actually disclose some stuff. And she was like, I guess they're lying to you too. And I go, you told me. You were like, if they're not telling you the truth, then it was like, but now you're telling me they're lying. Like, that I got her in that. I was like, so are they lying or am I lying? Like, even when they were coming out, people were like, well, they're just lying to you. And it's like, okay.
For me, I guess because I'm not as wrapped up in it, definitely as long as you guys have been, like, I don't feel the need to be validated. Like, since we've done the con, people have came to me and be like, we talked about this, where it's like, oh yeah, you're the Bigfoot guy. And I'm like, no. Like,
you are. You're a Bigfoot guy now.
But, so
you're like, on a Bigfoot convention and are on a Bigfoot Wild Man podcast.
Right? Anyway, like I said, I just don't have that validation. So, like, if it was to come out, I wouldn't be shocked. So it just kind of be like, well, good. Like everybody, it kind of pulls everybody else up to the same level of what we're doing here. Where it's like, all right, well, let's figure this out.
At that point, I'd be like, can I submit stuff to you guys?
Right.
Like, can I give you the video stuff that I got, and like, can you look at that? Is that compare? Like, I like honestly,
Yeah.
That's why. But when Project Go and See happened, I was very excited about that because it was like a community-driven project of trying to gather all this evidence. And there was some great anthropologists that were part of it and stuff and trying to help out with it. Whatever happened with it? Is it still going?
I don't know.
It just kind of fade away.
It's kind of faded away as far as I know.
Yeah, there was a big push for it. It was really cool though. I liked the amount of people that like were trying to help and submit to it and stuff.
If they came out and they admitted this stuff and they found out that like, these things can be dangerous, would that change your guys, wanting to do it?
No.
Because again, I mean, we've been out there so many times and we're fine. Like we're more than anything, we're not bothered. Like we're bothering them more than anything.
The amount of times we've been out there and have been in, when I look back at it, I was like, maybe that was a bad situation we were in, but like I didn't feel any. I've never felt fear in any interaction I had with whatever with what we were dealing with.
Your adrenaline's up, but it's not like you said a fear.
Yeah, it
or
wasn't a fear; it was an
present
excitement. I
danger.
was like, this is cool. It definitely would push me to go out more because now now it's confirmed. Like, no, they are there. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Not
because
chasing shadows.
I mean that's been
It would almost make me want to go less though, where it's like, all right, well, everybody knows. Like we're not the ones that are going to get it on tape now or whatever, you know. Like
that. I mean that's fair, and I mean maybe people would release stuff more. Um, like,
The
but
way I look at it, it's I don't think just anybody could go find them in the places that we go.
no,
Um,
we hike up, man. We get deep in it is the thing.
yeah,
And
and
I had to explain to people that like, again, when I always say when I come up here and I talk to my buddies up here and they're like, I've been in the woods, and I'm like, in our state parks, man, which are adorable. They're like the pinky nail of a southern state park down in the southern area, man. It's like not even comparable. Like I can
I was
walk through
trying
my
to,
state park.
I was trying to talk to my doctor the other day and tell her I was like, I just need a yearly checkup of Lyme disease. Like I just need that added to the list.
Yeah, oh my god. I guess that's one thing that freaks me out when I'm down there. That's actually one of my fears down there is the ticks and Lyme disease.
that's a legitimate fear. Yeah,
Yeah. Because the amount of ticks I've pulled off of me down there, and like that's why I bring my like multi tool, because that's like I can fucking rip them out. Um, but yeah, that's my fear out there is poisonous snakes and ticks, deer ticks. Other than that, it's like I'm not afraid of, like, there's not really bears to deal with down there. Like
we've got bears, but they stay to
sparse.
themselves.
Yeah, I mean the only other thing that would be terrifying is a mountain lion. And I know the state of Tennessee says there are no Tennessee mountain lions, but bullshit. Um, fucking
Or the feral hogs.
a bullshit. Yeah. That would scare me too. Is something more like that, because they're actually pretty aggressive.
Yeah. Feral hogs are that's the one thing I don't want to mess with in the woods.
You know, mess you up, man. Um, that's really like the only thing I fear there is those type of things, or one of us getting injured on the side of the mountain and being like, "Fuck, we got to get out of here." Those are the kind of things that are in the back of my head when we go up there. So I gear up when I'm out there. What was that?
I said heat strokes.
Heat
But I don't think Randy caught it either because I
Oh,
was thinking.
No, I didn't.
heat strokes. Yeah. I mean, it got hot down there. It gets hot down in those forests, man. The haze in there, it's sometimes it feels like you're swimming. It's so thick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's so lush. You know, every time, I mean, most of the times I come down, it's during the summer now. And it's just so lush and full out there. Like, again, I try to explain to people, I'm like, just come with me one time. Just come with me. I've had people being like, I'm gonna come squatching with you. I'm like, okay.
Dude, we'll take them.
I always offer. I'm like, if you ever want to go, you know, come with. I mean, we finally, after how many years, we got Annie to come with us. Annie and Bobby to come with us. I was praying for something to happen. But it was great to be able to show them like the tree breaks and like some of the tree arches and stuff, and explain that to them, because you know, Annie and Bobby's always been, they're like, okay guys, and like they came down for the Bigfoot convention this last year, and they had a great time. It was great having them there. It was wonderful seeing them, and then being able to get them to take them out to an area. But it's one of those things. It's like you got to come down for like 4 days, and we have to do it for 4 days because you don't know what day they're gonna. You know, you might have an interaction, or even in those 4 days you won't. I mean, we've had times I've come down and it's demoralizing. sometimes the flight home and being like, getting home and like, did you get anything? It was like fucking nothing.
No.
And it makes you question what you're doing sometimes. There's been
Yeah.
times I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
fuck. I'm like, am I crazy? Am I fucking-
That's what, like, our main site, it's probably been years since I've heard anything out with Randy. Years.
And that to me is so interesting. It's like it was popping for so many years.
Yeah.
It was the amount of time
It was about 2.5 years.
every
Yeah.
day you were sending me stuff. You were like, dude, guess what happened today? Guess what happened today? I'm like, oh my god. And you know, you had the GoPro. I mean, when you started getting some of the amount of tree knock stuff you got in like that first year.
Yeah. I think it's because I haven't been going up there like I was. I was going up there 4 times a year, or a month. I mean,
Yeah.
a week. Sorry.
Yeah, you were
4 times
going
a
up
week.
almost every day.
Yeah.
That's when people thought you were doing meth.
Yep.
You lost all that weight because you were hiking up the mountain and shit. And they were thinking that our code name for going to do meth on the mountain was we're going squatch.
I got that. Yep.
Yeah.
You're on meth, right? That's literally what was asking me. You're on meth, right? I'm like, first off, how do you even ask that question of someone? Like, secondly, no.
I've been asked, like, are you guys out there just like talking to no one? And I'm like, dude, I have stuff on camera. I mean, I brought hard evidence to friends and family, and they still are just like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. I was like, what is that? They're like, it's just an animal. I'm like, what animal does that? What animal does that? And none of them can explain it because none of them are fucking outdoorsmen. But it's such an easy cop out to be like, it's so easy just to.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it up at Cardware where you and Catman were walking on the trail and like 2 shirtless guys drove by on a bike?
They weren't on a bike. They were on an ATV.
Oh, yeah.
And we were walking up. We literally decided, we're like, you know what? We're not going to go the trail. We're just going to go up the ridge. And so we hiked it up off the ridge itself, like over the ridge, like the hard way.
Yeah.
And in the middle of nowhere, on this backwoods trail, there's an ATV with this older guy sitting on it. And behind the ATV is a younger guy getting dressed. And so we're like, we walk up on them like in the woods in the middle of nowhere.
Mountain love.
And this guy's getting dressed, and we're just like, and Catman's just like, howdy.
Are those
Just
the
like,
maybe those are
bring it to them.
maybe those are the Haints hollering.
Yeah.
It's
What if these guys were, though, just going up there to smoke pot and like they see Randy as tall as he is and then a guy dressed up in a cat suit just like walking in the woods and they're telling the same stories? It's
yeah, they're
what
like,
the
we
crap
ran
is
into
going
some
on?
couple weirdos out in the woods.
I'm up there changing my shirt, and here's this giant guy and a cat man.
He had a sword on his back.
You just move on. We ran into we went out onto the Trail of Tears this last year, and we like ran into a couple Amish guys.
Oh, dude, that one of those Amish dudes is buff as hell.
He was.
Oh yeah, they are, man.
That
They're
was.
swinging hammers all day. They're
Good Lord.
He was.
Yeah.
He was yoked, dude.
Yeah.
He was a good looking man, dude. He was super nice. I wanted to ask.
Clean living.
I wanted to ask him so bad to be like, hey man, have you? Because it was just him and a couple guys out there. Like I think they were they clearing some trails or something like that.
Yeah, they're clearing land.
Yeah. I wanted to be like, have you guys experienced freaking anything out here? Like,
is that up there by your land? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was there for that.
yeah, you
Yeah.
were with us.
Okay, yeah. I'm
We
with
went
you
out and
now.
did a little bit of filming. We were trying to get some,
Yeah.
just some B-roll of some stuff. Yeah, I always find it interesting because I lived in Tennessee, so I was used to having Amish people around and seeing them around, and now that I've been back up in New England, I don't see them anymore. So it was like, oh,
Do you guys have a lot of Amish up there?
no,
No.
And we might see like Mennonites like visiting Boston or something like that, but that's about it. We don't have anything like that. Even out in like Western Mass, from what I know. Yeah.
I suppose like Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, it's mostly Pennsylvania, Amish countries out there. I don't know if you guys saw the documentary, The Commune. It was on.
I've not.
It's in Tennessee, and it's kind of like just like they own the land, like they built their own stuff, but they live off the land. It's very like a hippie commune type deal. But they did like a kind of a reality show on them, and it was kind of like, is this a cult or not? Which it wasn't. It was just some people living free, you know.
Yeah.
But like
You are saying that these were Amish people, right? Because I mean, like I know some hippie communes that we have.
no,
around here.
this was a hippie the what I'm talking about with the show is a hippie commune. It was
Okay,
like a green, like they live off the land, all that stuff.
yeah, we got a couple of those around here.
Yeah, and the one on the show is in Tennessee, and it wasn't that far from you guys. And I was like, we should head out to those guys and be like, all right, what do you guys experience out here? Like, because they're out there, you know. But I also
We've got an area about 20 miles from us called Hippie Hollow, and it's kind of a hippie commune on the side of a mountain where that mountain has quite a bit of activity associated with it.
Yeah, Eric, he would go up there. Like you've been out with Eric, Josh, but
Yeah.
he would go up there and help at the Bible camp. Like he was a intern there during the summers, and he said at certain times during the night you could hear him just down there banging on drums.
having a good old time.
Yeah. People would come up like lost up on the mountain. They'd be like, "Where's this?" It's like, "Nah, this is the Bible camp, man. You're the wrong site."
It's just interesting how much stuff is going on in that area, and just like that, you know, having you know, hippie communes and, you know, all these different little camps and stuff. There's always something weird going on out in those mountains.
sure.
Man. There's always something going on out there. Okay, we got one more. I'm definitely gonna bring them up because they came up. It's the Moonite people, and we did a whole episode on that. The Yunwit Sunni. Moonite people. The Moonite people are described as in Cherokee folklore as pale-skinned, small-statured nocturnal beings with large, sensitive eyes adapted to the darkness. According to the legend, they lived in the Appalachian region before being driven out by the Cherokee. Some account claim they hide in caves during the day, emerging only under the cover of night. They are said to have been skilled builders, constructing mysterious stone structures found throughout the Appalachians. That's interesting. I mean, we've done a whole episode on these guys.
Yeah, they're the ones that are believed to have built Fort Stone, Georgia.
Yep.
Fort Mountain, Georgia, or no, Fort Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain. I don't know. I forget.
Not Stone Mountain. No, it's a fort. It's a stone fort down there.
I think it may be Fort Mountain.
Fort Mountain, Georgia.
And then Stone Fort is in Manchester.
Yeah, Old Stone Fort. Yeah.
Yeah, certain stone walls and mounds in Appalachians have been attributed to the Moonite people, though their actual origins remain debated among historians and archaeologists. And now, we've talked about this before. Houston had what we believe was an experience with you know, kind of that links to that legend, which with the knife. The knife reappearing after you losing it like a week earlier on the side of the mountain, and then you sitting down and finding it there. And that's part of the Moonite people, is that if you leave something on the mountain, they'll return it to you. I think that we've had this discussion before. Is like that would scare the crap out of me. Is like seeing a hobbit out in the fucking woods.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That would freak me out.
That comes out even before aliens and Bigfoot. They're just like, yeah, we've got these things here.
I mean,
they've got Homo naledi. They've discovered a freaking homo species that was that tall.
Yeah, and there was also the Florence.
What gets me is that the idea that like this is implausible now is kind of in the realm of, you know, yesteryear.
And also, I mean, Randy dug up all those the documentation of that mass grave.
Yeah.
back in the
Hillsboro.
was that 70s?
The little people, right?
Yeah.
That was the 1860s.
Oh, that was last century.
Yeah, last century.
Which I find just fascinating because it's there, it's reported on, it's in the news, and it's like, well, what is it? And then just never talked about again. But like if you think about it, like there was I forget who it was, but Rogan had him on his podcast. He has the boneyard up in Alaska.
Yeah.
And he was telling us, like, I'm going to tell you guys where all the bones are that the Smithsonian dumped. And people went and found them. They went and found those mammoth bones. Where he said they were there. There's been people going out and, like, scuba diving for them in the rivers and stuff and finding.
They dumped him in the river?
Yep.
For what reason?
I forget what it was on the podcast. He was just talking about it. But, like, a big part of, like, with the boneyard right now up where he's at is they're just finding skeletons of animals that at a layer that they shouldn't be, that they shouldn't have existed at that time. But, like, but he's proving, like, no, they were here.
Yeah, I think the boneyard is evidence of a mass death, basically, like a flooding or something.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's so grouped up and it's so compact, and like he was showing videos from it. And it's just they were just spraying the water on the dig site, and just bones are just falling out. Just
yeah.
I was like, holy crap. He was like, I'm gonna start a bone rush. But he brought up a great point. He's like, this is our history. Like, they shouldn't be keeping it from us. And I agree. It's like, should tell us this stuff. We should know about this stuff. We should have a understanding of it, what's out there.
That's just where I don't understand. It's like, why would you? Where's the want to do that?
To go look for bones?
No, to cover it up.
Yeah, that is my biggest thing. Is like, why? Because in my idea, right, if they just talked about it, right, it would just be part of our culture that we know about, right? And it's just like they normalize it, but for some reason they pulled back. I think it just might have been the time frame. They're like, we don't.
I think a lot of it too is they just don't have the answers to it. Like archaeologists just don't know how to explain a lot of this stuff.
I'm fine with that. I love it when they're like, I don't know, but we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I'm not sure why or when. Darby said that once to us was, when did it become not okay for basically archaeologists to say, I don't know?
Yeah.
They always have to have an answer to everything.
He argued too that what's the guy we're always talking about? I can't remember his name. Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
He said that there were some people before him too. He's like, he wasn't like
No, he wasn't.
Probably the most famous one, but he said there was some people in archaeology kind of saying this before he came around too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love Ancient Apocalypse. I love watching that one. Season 2 is great. It's just so funny when he's just like, so this dates back 7,000 years when we weren't supposed to be building stuff. And
right.
Like, it just blows the lid off of it. Just like, okay, well, explain it then. There's underground places and stuff. Like, it's okay to say we don't know, but it's like cool to be like, we're going to try to figure this out. We're going to try to reevaluate the timeline. It would be cool to see them just like, all right, we need to fix that. I don't think people like, I feel like they were like, oh, people's careers and stuff. It's like, dude, I don't think it would ruin anyone's career. It's just, that's what they figured out at the time.
They got paid.
It's steps. We got to take these steps forward. And like, people got to, everything, you got to keep improving on what we discover and keep looking for. I don't know. It's just weird. There's just so much cool. There's a lot of cool stuff, and it was like the one in Turkey, Göbekli Tepe, is like is older than the pyramids.
Oh yeah,
and
dude, that one place, Gundung Pandak or whatever it's called.
Gundung Pandak.
The one that's in Indonesia, or whatever. That's like they did a core sample. Like the Indonesian government did a core sample of the pyramid, as they call it, and found that it could be 25,000 years old.
And it's like, holy
Like,
shit.
we don't have an idea who would have built that thing.
And now it's just like, I want to, like, it really opens up my mind creatively, too, to think about, like, what was going on back then? Like, what was society like? You know what I mean? How cool it must have been, or what was the world like? What were the animals that were around at that time? Because I think, like,
Oh, they had megafauna back then.
and that's
Yeah,
freaking scary.
that's
That
crazy.
there
Yeah.
were just humans around at that time having their civilizations, and then there's fucking massive titan boas and stuff roaming around, and it's like,
Mammoths and megatheriums and
and I, with that stuff, that's when I'm like, that has to be where all these, like, stories of the Kraken and dragons and
Yep.
all that.
I'm convinced there's a southeastern the Cherokee legend of Spearfinger, of this great evil, scary. They say that she's humanoid, but they talk about that she's big, and that she has one big giant claw, and that she would come after you with her claw to kill you. And if that claw ever got hold of you, you were dead, right? And I'm positive. And they talked about that she was arrow proof. That Spearfinger was. Turns out that megatheriums, giant ground sloths,
That's what I was about
actually
to ask.
were spear proof.
Yeah.
They had bone ossifications in their skin, which literally made them arrow proof. And I'm convinced that Spearfinger is a retelling of a giant ground sloth, like mythology, basically.
Those scare me. I will say, like, the megafauna, looking back, and like, it was just these massive animals,
Yeah.
these kaiju level stuff. Everything
Yeah.
was just massive. I like
We have a cave. We have a cave here called Bone Cave, and the reason it's called Bone Cave is because they found an entire megatherium skeleton like perfectly preserved in the cave back in the late 1800s, and that's what gave it its name, is Bone Cave.
Yeah.
But like, to think that a 20-foot that's elephant sized, okay, an elephant sized sloth was living on the mountainside up here, fell into a cave and couldn't get out and died.
Yeah.
Like, that was just the way life was around this area back then. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
That's why Randy plays Ark.
Yeah. I just think about, like, this, how much more terrifying the flora and fauna was back then.
Oh,
like,
totally, man.
like,
We had two species of saber-toothed cat in this area.
and they were huge.
But yeah, we had Smilodon populator and Smilodon fatalis. But the populator was huge. I mean, huge, like bigger than a freaking lion. A modern lion. We had American lions in this area, which were like about a third of the size bigger than a modern lion. It was, that shit was crazy and scary as hell back then.
And that just, like, fascinates me to no end, to be like, them uncovering this and be like, no, I think our history goes back way further. To the point now I'm getting to, is like, were we around? Like, were there some version of us near the end of the dinosaurs? Was Dino Riders a thing? Was Dinotopia a thing?
Dino Riders.
Dino Riders.
Harness the power.
Yeah. I love those old, like, toy commercials from those. I used to have them all.
Would you be surprised, though, if that was true?
I wouldn't be surprised if they were. Like,
I would, yes.
I'd be like, whoa. I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But also, like, maybe we weren't, because, like, that there was that massive cataclysm from back then.
Yeah.
I
don't think humans were around back then, but I subscribe to the Silurian hypothesis.
Which is what?
So that there's, just because we don't have evidence that there wasn't a higher advanced civilization on this planet at some point in the past, doesn't mean that there wasn't one.
Yeah.
So, and if there was, that the dinosaurs reigned for 140 million years. That is a long time for something to never evolve sentience.
Yeah. That's true. That's where the reptilians come from.
Dude,
Well, that's where
if you go by some theories, that's supposedly where they would. There's some theories that reptilians are crypto terrestrials. That they're from here.
yeah.
That's the messed up thing. They're from here. They would be Earth Terrans too. And if think about it like this, if an advanced species would have evolved back then, survived all that, but maybe in smaller numbers because of a huge cataclysm that it was,
Mm-hmm.
and then they see us take over the world.
Oh yeah, the
Like,
monkeys
how pissed off would you be?
come back, just chilling. Well, we talked about last episode was the like breakaway civilization. We just kind of mentioned that, and it's like that's kind of scary to think about. Is like, have we just been blind to
Yeah.
something here with us? And like,
You know, we know now that the ice age was most likely finished because of a comet impact.
yeah,
The younger
Dryas.
Dryas impact. I think one of the things Graham Hancock brings up a lot is how do we know that there wasn't an advanced civilization on the Earth back then, and maybe all of them didn't die out when the cataclysms happened. Maybe some of them got away. Maybe some of them, we had things coming out of the ocean. Hell, maybe some of them went in there. We don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, because a lot of the stuff that they're dating, like the underground in Turkey, they had the underground, the massive underground complex that they were
That
like,
city, yeah,
like they're like 50,000 people or something like that could live down here.
yeah.
And it was designed to withstand, to for shelter. And like, why? And he's like, well, it lines up with the Younger Dryas impact. All this stuff lines up with the Younger Dryas impact. That, like, did they know it was coming? And they were like, fuck, we gotta get underground.
If they knew it was coming, they had a pretty damn good, pretty advanced civilization.
Exactly. Because you got to think of how big that complex is and how quickly they had to make that, or they knew
They would have seen that in the sky. Wasn't that in one of the last episodes where they would have seen this coming like a while before?
I mean,
They just would have lit up the sky that this thing was
The thing
coming.
is, if you see a comet up in the sky, that's one thing. But how do you know it's going to hit? How do you even have the concept that comet's going to hit?
I mean,
You know
these
what
are the people though that like map the stars. So I mean, I couldn't do it, but isn't that?
What
I
I'm-
mean, they're the ones making the
yeah.
calendar.
How do you have the concept that thing is capable of hitting you? Is what I'm saying. Like if you've never seen a comet hit the Earth before, how do you know that it's going to hit the Earth, or it could hit the Earth?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
You have to have what I'm saying is you have to have an advanced civilization to know what a comet is.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know.
I think you would. At least to know, at least advanced enough to know it's coming and do something about it.
yeah. Well, just I mean, seeing it in there, I can get like, they had way less light pollution back then that we know of.
Well, we think.
That we think. Yeah, we don't know what the
Yeah.
fuck they had. But that always interests me is that they definitely knew in some way this thing was coming to hit them. It was coming for them, and they got underground. They
I mean, we definitely have in all of our old omens and myths of comets. They're all bad.
yeah.
They're all of this is bad. This is a bad evil thing coming.
And that's just that can be, and that's just like our verbal. What do they call it? When they pass on like it's like subtle knowledge passed between generations
Yeah.
and stuff. It's not
Yeah.
taught. It's just known.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's bad. That's bad coming for us. And aren't we entering into a certain like time frame where like we can get hit right now? Isn't that something that's happening right now? I swear to God.
I know the planets are lining up this month, but
Ooh. That doesn't
Look at
happen often.
yeah, I think it already passed. But
That's cool though. But like, there's a certain time frame or something we pass through. Don't we pass through a certain like?
asteroid belt or something.
Oh, we passed through. I don't remember the name of the comet. Comet Inky Tuttle, I think, is the name of it. But we passed through its around the sun. We passed through its ring basically that it leaves. Its debris field
Yeah.
twice a year. And each time we go through that's the same comet that, in the theories that Graham Hancock suggests,
Drop.
was where we got the big impactor that hit that caused the younger Dryas.
Damn. So fucking. And like, I view it this way: would they tell us? Would they tell us if there was a comet coming?
No, I don't think they would at all.
It's like they couldn't do anything about it, honestly. Like, there'd just be too much panic. It'd be absolute chaos.
You guys have seen Don't Look Up, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I was working on something else, but I had gotten offered to go work on that movie because it was done up here in Boston. But it was like at the height of like when COVID happened.
Yeah.
And I get the call, offer like, hey, we need more people. And then one of the guys that was on it calls me right afterwards. He's like, don't go into this production. He's like, everyone's getting COVID left and right. Like, it's just not being handled good. So everyone's just getting sick. And it was like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna stick on the show on mine.
All right. So if you found out you had a week, what would you do?
Ooh.
Like a comet's coming
Yeah.
and it's 100% going to hit and kill us all.
I mean, yeah.
Spend time with friends and family, man.
What am I supposed like? What would you do with 50? Like, does it change if you found out 50%? Like,
I don't know. I think I would still like prepare for the end though. I'd probably be like, I'm gonna stay off fucking social media and all that shit because it's gonna go crazy and haywire. And I'm just gonna live, just live for that last week and just go do stuff, eat a bunch of food, like just chill, man.
I would.
Like, here it comes.
I would climb Cardwell and I would tell the Sasquatch goodbye. And I would go up to our primary site and tell him goodbye there.
And then
what if
Archie
they came out to meet you?
I was just about to say, like, Randy, come with us.
Okay, Randy.
Come
We were
with
always
us.
here for you. It's your hardest points.
Look,
The world's
if we
gonna
only got
end.
a week left, and they're coming out and talking to me. It's gonna be like, hey, can I hang out with you guys for a week?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm staying with you guys. There's a comet coming. I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. We
You guys are
tried
portaling
telling
out of
you.
here, right?
Yeah, right. What would you do, Houston?
I don't know. Like, it's kind of one of those things. Like, nothing. You was talking about like eating all you wanted to. It's like, man, you can't go to a restaurant. There's nobody going to be working.
Yeah,
So, like, realistically, I don't know. There's a couple places.
I'd rob a bank just to do it. I'm just kidding. Just go knock over a
End
bank
it quicker.
just to see. Like,
There's a couple of places.
I feel like it'd be absolute chaos happening.
Yeah. That's one of those things. Like, I don't know. Just thinking serious about it. It's like, if that was to happen right now, yeah, I mean, I would be more about like, spending time with my parents, Kayla, all that stuff. Like, if that was to
Yeah.
happen 30 years from now, my parents are already gone or something,
Yeah.
I'd probably get like me, Kayla, kids, and like, I don't know, just go somewhere. Like,
I'd probably
actually
come down to you
really,
guys, honestly. Like just to go up the mountain one more time or something like that. To bring the family down there and literally just come down south and be like, it's one of my favorite places to go is down in the Appalachians. It's just like see it one more time.
yeah. See, I was thinking like pyramids or something like that. Like, I want to go to the Amazon, not.
How are you going to do travel?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it gets
freaking out.
unrealistic. Like,
Yeah.
how is Josh going to come down here? He's going to ride a horse?
I'll drive. I'll drive. I've had bug out
You watch
plans.
disaster movies?
got-
The side of the roads, man. The side of the roads nobody ever drives on.
I have
Disaster
bug out
movies.
plans to get down to you guys if shit really pops off. Go to the mountains, man. I'd probably go into the mountains of the Appalachian and just hike it all the way down to you guys.
I've told Randy this before, but I do really like on Deep Impact where Chick just went with her dad up to the edge. It's like, you're not going to outrun this.
Yeah. I would definitely want to find a nice place and just watch it come in and hit us.
Sure. Yeah.
Here it comes. When else are you gonna see that? Just
Once in a lifetime.
like take me.
You guys ever seen a movie called These Final Moments?
I don't think so.
If not, watch it sometime. It's really, really good. The premise is that the world is ending because of a comet, but it's already happened. It's already hit,
Oh,
and
it's
it's
yes.
and it's in
Australia is the last one or something, like, to see the heat wave coming. I've watched
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
I have
It's a
watched
good.
it.
It's a really good movie.
It's brutal. It's
Yeah,
pretty brutal. You're like, damn. Yeah, it's
because
hit.
he's in Australia, and it hits like in Europe,
Yeah,
but like it's Australia is the last place to be destroyed on Earth.
and they
So it's
just
just like
see it.
this last day that this dude has.
Yeah,
Would it take a day?
No, I mean it's like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours that he's got.
yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's
Even
just
that,
like
like I just figured
partying.
we're just gonna go spinning into somewhere weird orbit. I don't know.
That's scary too. Is like getting
What if
knocked.
you just started seeing the sun rise and set like every 30 minutes?
Oh, like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah.
That's an apocalypse
Yeah,
happening right
oh
there.
God. Just want everything to stay nice and chill. Just want to look for Bigfoot. No comments. None of that bullshit. As a kid, I really thought about comet impacts a lot more than I should have.
Well,
Like, I
that's when all
really
the
did.
movies were coming out. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of disaster movies
again,
when I was
Deep
younger.
Impact. Apparently, this one.
I feel like they were trying to prep
I
us.
know that one came out in like 2015. What I'm talking about.
Yeah, but like, there was that stint of like, you know, disaster movies that were just like, yeah, you're right, just comet impacts and overcoming them and stuff and trying to survive everything being fucking destroyed. Fucking crazy. Ugh. All right, fellas. Any last closing statements here?
Did we go over all of them, or did we skip some at the first when we went to Confederate? Like leaving food for spirits
Oh
and,
no, we didn't talk about that one. We talked
and the
about that.
call of the wind. Yeah, some of the ones up top. I don't know if we got. If you want to touch
Yeah,
on them.
it skipped. Well, I brought up like leaving food for spirits is also kind of funny, because we leave food for Bigfoot.
It's true.
Um, so growing up, did you guys do anything like that in some fashion? I mean, not you, Houston, probably not you, right? But maybe Randy.
I'll have cookies for Santa Claus.
I mean, I did too. One day I'll fucking catch that bastard. Uh,
We always get off track. But what was the Mel Gibson movie where he's Santa Claus?
oh, is that Christmas
Fat
Chronicles?
Man.
Huh?
Fat Man.
The
Right,
Fat Man, is that the new one?
dude. Seriously, really good movie. Check that out.
Okay, I'll check that one.
That's like in my top 10 favorite movies. Like it's awesome. Since we're talking about catching Santa Claus somehow.
Okay, so leaving food for the spirits, leaving offerings such as bread, milk, or coins at specific sites is a way to appease spirits, protect your home, or show respect to the land and its ancestors.
I think of Day of the Dead with this.
Well, I talked to you guys about I was working with a buddy of mine who's a practicing druid up here, and we went to the Bridgewater Triangle down there in the South Shore, and he wanted to do kind of this. We did bread, milk, we did whiskey, we did a little bit of honey. I was kind of on the other camp.
Gravestones, I've seen that.
Yeah, I was on the other camp of like, I'm like, all right, man, I look for Bigfoot, okay? So I don't know about this spirit stuff. But he did the Epsis method, which is like you have somebody listening to like the spirit box. They're kind of like completely.
I've seen that somewhere.
Epsis method. I think I'm butchering the name, which is what I'm good at. But the thing we did was he got twins. He got two of the women that worked on this project with us. They're identical twins, and he was like, I want them to do it. He goes, because I have a feeling like maybe we can, like, this would do something. And like at first I was like, okay, we were doing like kind of like a very druid ritual, leaving foods, and he was kind of talking to them, and all of us had to, pour something out to be like, hey, I'm not here to harm. I'm not here to, I'm just here to experience. What are you here for? He was like, what are you here for? And I was like, I just want to experience this. which is what I've always done. It's like I just want to come out and experience what other people have experienced out in these woods. And it got weird. It did get weird. We were getting pretty legitimate responses to questions through that method. And I was the one that was in control of like the app with the thing, and like anytime she'd answer us, I'd turn the volume up louder. I'm like, because I'm like, I don't want her hearing us. And like I'd make Doug, I'm like, talk quieter. I don't want, she can't hear us. Like I gotta make sure she can't hear us. And stuff happened. Like we were getting some pretty legitimate responses through it, and I kind of walked away, and he was like, "What do you think?" It's like, look, man, this is kind of weird. But I also talk to him about like that we do the kind of the same thing down here with our habituation on our primary site and stuff. We leave peaches and left apples at the up at the monument at the effigy on, on Cardwell and stuff. Which it's just something we've done, and it feels like maybe that's, I don't know, kind of the way to do it. But also you have the other camp that's like, do not do that.
Yeah.
Stop messing around out there.
There are people that claim that if you leave any kind of like habituation food for Sasquatch, they'll kill you next time.
It's like bears.
Not feeding them, they'll kill you.
Yeah,
they'll come after you, and it's like, man, if it was that easy to get activity, just you don't feed them for a while, everybody'd be doing it.
Yeah, it's at first when I've heard some stories, I've always kind of been like, well, maybe we don't do this, and then the more we did it, and like again, like I've never been in a situation on our sites where I've been afraid for my life, like ever. And like we've had some pretty intense experiences in that sense. Call of the Wind. The belief is strange disembodied voices or sounds carried by the wind can lure people into the wilderness, where they might become lost or fall prey to the supernatural entities. The origin is the superstitions likely grew from practical fears of getting lost in dense, unfamiliar forests. However, many indigenous tribes, including the Cherokee, speak of benevolent spirits that use sound to trick or confuse people. The idea of being called away mirrors stories of fairies or spirits leading travelers astray in European folklore. In Appalachian lore, the sounds might be linked to ghosts, witches, or even cryptids. Yeah.
I do know somebody that has had Sasquatch scream his dog's name.
Oh, I heard that story.
Yeah.
It like made it mimic.
It is screamed out its dog's name like perfectly. Like it was kind of the same way, the way he put it, the same way that he called for his dog.
I think that would really
called for his dog. That's what the Sasquatch did.
If we like saw one and it was like Josh, I think I would die. like legit yell, and mimic. And like that's something we do as a species too. We're very good at mimicking. And like that's just freaky.
Yeah.
Now, have you guys never experienced this though?
I've not, no.
No. I mean, we've had wild experiences. Nothing like that. I'd wish for that. Almost. Randy. Like, up on the ridge line.
I ain't going towards it if they do it.
I mean, if anyone they could mimic in some of these sites, it would be you, because you were out there so often and talking to them.
So that would be crazy, man.
That goes back to hearing your name in the woods. What would you do if you just heard your name in the woods?
I would get. If I heard it in my own voice, like it was, they were.
Oh, that's worse.
Mimicking me back. Ugh.
Yeah, I would get the hell out at that point. I think that would actually be like, okay, this is danger. Danger, Will Robinson. Time to get the F out. Yeah, that would freak me out. I think I would try to rationalize, like, that wasn't my name. And then you hear it again, like, Josh. Oh, that would be too funny. But also terrifying.
Yeah.
Because, like, just being out that deep as we go sometimes, it's like you shouldn't be hearing your own name. Unless it was one of you guys that we had separated and then yelling for each other. You shouldn't be hearing your name that deep out in the woods from an unknown source.
That reminds me of a old post that I read, and like I remember this from years ago, but it was something along the lines of like the shortest horror story, like the scariest kind of
Oh yeah,
thing. Have you heard this or
heard of
whatever?
it. I forget it, but it was only like a few
Yeah, it was like
lines.
two
It
sentences,
was
but
two
it was talking
sentences.
about like the one that got me was said this girl hears her daughter yell for her downstairs, and then she hears her daughter in the closet next to her. She said, "Don't go down there. I hear it too." I'm like, oh, that'd be that'd be
I hear it too. Don't go down there.
yeah. It's like, which one do you trust? The one in the
Yeah.
closet or the one downstairs?
There's been, I mean, there was a trend up on TikTok for a while of people like experiencing in their own home something like, "Hey, come on out," and it's like, "That's not my mom. My mom's not home right now." And it's like, "What are you doing? Come out, come out," and just people getting their names called. Um, TikTok, but
Yeah, like if I see that on TikTok or social media, I'm gonna be like, man, you guys.
yeah, they're just doing something. But I mean, there was a surge of that type of stuff
Yeah.
for a minute. If I heard it in my own house, and like it's like Lauren's voice, and I'm sitting next to Lauren, I'm going into that room with like some body armor and some heavy weapons.
How do you know the Lauren next to you is to be trusted?
Like I said, we actually have a system for this. We have passwords. We got.
What if they put your passwords?
This is actually like a traumatic thing that you've thought out before.
It's just us. It's been us just like watching films and being like, how do we deal with
yeah.
that? It's like we should have some passwords. And she goes, what if they know the password? And I was like, I think I'll be able to tell. I'm like, they're not gonna be that spot on. They're gonna fuck up. There's gonna be an indication.
Oh man.
You gotta have rules. You gotta have some procedures set in line for this stuff.
In case these scenarios raise their head.
You never know. You never know. You gotta have a password, man. You gotta have some weird saying.
When Josh was looking up topics to bring up, this one really wasn't in the Appalachians. He just wanted to bring it up to kind of be like, does anybody else kind of have this
Does everyone else
irrational fear?
I have an irrational fear of doppelgangers. Yeah, no, that would freak me out. I've always hated like shapeshifters in like movies and stuff. I'm like, that's cheating, bitch. Like, I'm like, face me, you know.
Right.
But yeah, that's the a group of the lore or some of the beliefs down there are local legends of the Southern Appalachians. But if those listening at home, if you guys have any, please leave a comment or even email us. Again, we leave our email at the end. If you've had experience or a story you'd like to share for us to talk about, or even questions, please email us or post them in the comments. It'd be great.
Or if you want to come out, we'll take you out.
Gotta be careful with that invitation.
Well,
we get 20,000 video requests. Like, we're coming out. I mean, we've talked about that though. Is like, what if we got a bunch of people to come out and we prime
we need you to come out in August at the Milner Center.
Yeah, at the Milner Center. What's the date, Houston?
16th, right?
Yeah, August 16th.
Okay.
Tennessee Wildman and Crypticon. It's happening this year. You can get the tickets on Eventbrite. Are the tickets up?
Yep.
Buy tickets, or if you're looking to be a vendor, we have. I don't know how much more space we have in the vendor hall at this point.
I think we're at 30, 35, 33, 35, something like that.
We are going to be able to use the second floor, so I don't know.
We're gonna have, even if you were there last year, it's gonna be we're gonna have a bigger vendor hall too. We got some great guests coming out. Yeah, we'll be posting a lot of that stuff here soon about the guests. I don't know if we posted that yet.
Yeah, I'm starting to post it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll throw a link down in the the video description for this episode. Maybe we can throw the Eventbrite link in there and stuff for people to easily get to information on the convention. Come on out. It's a great time. We have a great time. We love talking to the people that show up and just want to, talk with our guest speakers. Or even just enjoy the vendor hall. The vendor hall was great last year. I was so impressed. There was so much cool stuff. There was a lot of cool vendors.
Yeah.
And then just getting to sit in and listen to M.K. Davis or Martin Groves, Daryl Denton, some of the greats, some of the legends of the community. And I get excited. It's kind of weird that I'm like, oh, it's happening again. We're doing it again.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. Come and join us. Come hear some good encounters. Come meet some great people. Enjoy some good food that we have. We have food trucks there, and enjoy the vendor hall. But it's a good one-day event. We have a great time. Very fun. Big family event. Bring your kids. It's fun.
Definitely.
But that's it for tonight.
It'll be lit.
It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be a real squatchy. Yeah, he got him. Yeah.
I was trying to come up with a better word for lit, but it come out something that sounded way worse.
We have another special, one of my favorites. Janice Carter's gonna be there running the table. You can come out and meet her. Another legend. Yeah, we get some great people. Yeah. But that's the show for this week, folks. Thank you for tuning in and sitting back and listening to us talk about weird stuff. But we'll see you guys next week. Peace.